Hello there, YouTube. Okay, so I'm just making this video because I've been getting a lot of requests about how I healed my asthma in my previous years, because I've made a few videos on that, because it's something that is a part of me, because it's something that I went through myself. I was diagnosed, this video particularly is for a Rakesh Kumar. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. But just because you've been asking me this morning, I figured I'd make this video now for you, because I've got the time to do so. So, 11 years old, I was diagnosed with asthma, and it was allergic asthma, but it was also related to any physical activity as well, because of course, what is asthma? It is inflammation, and it is congestion with mucus. So what we really need to do is get rid of acidosis, get rid of the inflammation, and get rid of the congestion, because that is really what's going on. It's not about the name, it's about the symptoms, okay? And the symptoms are not a natural phenomenon, they happen when we do wrong. We make a mistake and we get the symptomatic disorder. So, I suffered with asthma quite severely right up until the age of 17, 18 years old. And some days I would be having up to 10 asthma attacks a day. Sometimes I would just walk down the road to the shop and I wouldn't even be able to breathe properly. I'd be having, like, my heart rate would be going, my stomach could be jittery. It's almost like the body was in a state of panic and breakdown, because maybe it was also stressed on a cellular level as well because of all that congestion. I know a lot more about it these days than what I did in previous years when I was actually attempting to heal the asthma in the first place. But nonetheless, I did heal it. So at the age of 18, I started to sway away from your conventional allopathic medicine, because I was starting to get into the spiritual realm of things. And upon getting into that, first and foremost, I believe I began to research a guy called Edgar Cayce, who was known as the Sleeping Prophet, because he would give people medical diagnosis and an actual way to cure it, not to, sustain it, but to actually cure the disease through diet, without medicines, in a prophetic sleep-like, trance-like state. He would do this for people. Anyway, I got one of his books, and it was Edgar Cayce, Foods for Healing. It was foods for health and healing. That was it. Foods for health and healing. And I went through all the indexes of cases of asthma, and I started to experiment with the diet and taking things out. And a lot of the time, it was acidic foods that were promoted as causing negative effects that are going to exacerbate the symptoms of asthma. So I started to reduce those kinds of foods, and we'll go into that in a second. But alongside that, I had also begun practicing meditation. And with that being the case, I had also learned a few different breathing techniques. Whilst researching breathing techniques in order to simply get into a deeper state of trance during meditation, I actually came across beneficial breathing techniques that would help asthma. And that is where I did these videos on the Buteyko breathing methods, because it was the Buteyko breathing method which was a phenomenal help, actually. That's when I didn't really know what I was doing with the diet. The Buteyko breathing method still was able to get me off the inhalers completely, so that instead of relying on the inhalers, I was able to, if I ever had, well, let's put it this way, I was at the point previous to this when I had full-on asthma, where if I did not have an inhaler and I had an asthma attack, then I would, without a doubt, end up in hospital. So I went from that to being in the situation where if I didn't have an inhaler, my asthma attacks weren't as severe, but I believe this was because of the reduction in acidic foods in my diet. So the symptoms of the asthma attack were not as severe at this point, age 18, 17, and I could use the potato breathing method as a way to eliminate the asthma attack rather than having to rely on the inhalers. These days, which is nearly 10 years later now, I don't require any of that at all because my diet is clean enough for me to not even require the potato breathing method. It's not even something I particularly practice now because I have no necessity for it. There are some certain breathing techniques that I do for meditation, but that's irrelevant to this because they're nowadays basically the breathing techniques that I practice are for strengthening chi and producing an electromagnetic effect during meditation, which again, that's for another video. But if the diet's clean enough, what I'm trying to tell you is that the potato breathing method is not a necessity. Okay? So, anyway, we'll go into the foods because this is what it's really about. Okay? Number one, cooked food is a mistake. Cooked food is not the way forward. No animal cooks its food. It's not a natural state of eating for human beings. It also allows us to eat foods that were previously poisonous to us and that would intoxicate us if they were eaten when raw. So, that's the real key there. Number one, only raw food is what we should be eating. Everything else is going to do something to the human body. It's going to have a negative effect. It might have some positive effects, but it will also come with a negative effect. Then, let's think about the human body itself. It's supposed to be slightly alkaline, and yet the foods that we're eating, and I will say mostly because it is cooked food, are on the acidic side of things. Now, the body is amazing. We can do these things. We can live till 80 years old, and worst case scenario is you're going to have a lot of diseases, you're going to be on a lot of medications, and you might end up with something like dementia. But isn't that quite amazing that the human body can sustain itself for that long on such a malnourished, pathetic diet? I think it's pretty incredible myself. It makes me think that we're actually more like super beings than anything. So what are the foods that we can eat? What are we designed to eat? You need to look at the natural symptoms of hunger. What makes us hungry? What do we feel ecstatic about eating? When do we feel satiated? Mostly when we eat fresh, juicy, high water content, ripe fruit that's mostly on the alkaline side of the pH scale. So 100% what completely cured my asthma is a complete reversal of dietary intake. The foods that I consume now and have consumed for the past few years have been all raw, mostly fruit, salads, herbs, and occasionally some seeds and some nuts, but only if they are soaked overnight in salt water to eliminate the phytic acid that they are coated in, so that then they also think that they are growing because they're in the water and they will become alive. It activates them. But that's very little when it comes to nuts and seeds. I don't believe that we particularly need that much of them. So I have a high fruit diet. I tend to have 2 meals a day. Sometimes it might be 1 meal. Some days, to be quite honest, I might not eat anything at all. I might just have juice or something. So I'll give you an example. Today, for dinner, I might have something like 5 oranges and maybe some mandarins. I'll just keep it citrus. Simple. And then I won't eat until later on when I have my evening meal. My evening meal will be a simple salad. All raw. So that might be like some rocket lettuce, maybe some cherry tomatoes, red pepper, courgette, something real simple. Maybe make a nice easy dressing, some extra virgin, raw, unpasteurized olive oil, a little bit of Himalayan pink salt, something like that. That's me. I like to keep things simple. I'm happy with simplicity. You know, you can go gourmet on things. I do a lot of gourmet food as well. You know, like everybody's human and you like to eat really good food. And, you know, you like to have that sort of going out for a meal vibe when you're eating sometimes. And that's understandable. I get that. And, you know, it's all doable. Any flavour can be achieved. You just need to look into it and you need to have a little mix around. It's like kitchen alchemy. That's all it is. It's something that I do all the time, you know, because I've got a wife and 2 kids and they like to eat good food. They like to eat really tasty food, flavoursome gourmet food. And I will provide that and I'll do that for myself as well. But when it comes to healing, you want simplicity. So if you want to break away and dissolve that mucus, you want to really be eating foods that have a higher water content than your own body. For one, it's going to hydrate you, it's going to reduce the inflammation, and it's going to dissolve the mucus, which is causing the congestion, which essentially is what is causing the asthma. So that's really all I can give you on this subject. I mean, it took some time. I noticed the benefits immediately. So within 2 weeks of eating nothing but fresh, ripe fruit, again, which, like I said, you want to keep it on the more alkaline side of things, and you also want to keep it on the high water content side. You want to keep it on the ripe side, and you want to keep it on the more alkaline side. That's what's going to really heal you. After 2 weeks on this, you're already going to notice a reduction in the symptoms, if not a complete elimination of the symptoms. But the minute that you start eating the wrong foods again, you're going to start building that congestion up again. You're going to start building up that inflammation again. The body's not made to eliminate certain things and has to work very hard to eliminate certain things. So what were the worst things, worst foods for my asthma? When I did have asthma badly and I ate anything? Pizza, very bad. Milk, very bad. Cheese, very bad. Cooked red foods for some reason, so like pasta sauces, don't know, cooked tomatoes, all these seem to be very acidic and would give me like congestion and heartburn and indigestion, that kind of stuff, which all exacerbated the symptoms. Alcohol, terrible. And do you know what's funny is that I used to be a smoker as well. Even though I had asthma, very, very stupid of me, but I used to be a smoker, okay? And even though I was, the food would affect my asthma worse than the cigarettes would. Now, isn't that something to take in? I don't know if anybody else has experienced that in their life, but that is my own personal experience, is that cigarettes actually seem to do less harm in exacerbating the symptoms of my asthma than eating bad foods like takeaways and processed foods. Bread is also a huge one. So you want to eliminate all of these foods. And the best way to do that, like I said, is to switch the diet onto 100% raw. If you go 100% raw, it gives you a limited choice, I'll give you that. But as I already just said, you can achieve any flavour that you wish if you want to go gourmet. But first, if you really want to heal yourself, if you want to get rid of something like asthma, you want to either do a juice fast first, that would be fantastic, or a water fast. These two would completely eliminate the symptoms fantastically, because you're not putting anything in. All you're doing is getting rid of the stuff that you've already got inside of you, and you're also going to reduce the inflammation and decongest. But if you're not up for that just yet, that's fine. Go for fruit. Try something like oranges, navel oranges, whatever oranges are in season right now. Live off them. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You're not going to get deficient. Not in that time. You'll be fine. You start feeling weak, dizzy? Okay, add some salads in. That's fine. The point is, if you want to get anywhere, you need to put the effort in. You need to be loyal to yourself and you need to be strict on yourself. And it can be attained and it can be achieved. We are all healers. of each other and ourselves. Our human bodies are absolutely incredible, as we just testified earlier on. We can all do this. I've personally done it myself. As I said, I would have up to 10 asthma attacks a day. I haven't seen my inhaler in years. Don't need that anymore. I can run around, I can go do whatever I want. Whatever I want. There's no congestion in me, no mucus, because I don't eat the foods that produce those things. I haven't known congestion in years. So, if you want to change, you need to be the change. Okay. There are also, because it can get deep, the destruction that we've done to our bodies, there are also a lot of herbs which can help to clean out the lungs. As we've already gone over the 15-minute marker on this video, I think I'll make a separate video for you, particularly Rakesh, on the different herbs that you can use to help clean out the lungs. Okay, so that was my particular journey, in a roundabout way. Me just pushing my raw food message there, really, though. But that's what you've got to do. You need to go 100% raw, and it needs to be high fruit and salads. Fruit and salads, fruit and salads, fruit and salads. Stay away from hybridized. You want to go for more on the original fruits and fruits and vegetables. So the heirlooms, you know. So things that haven't been crossbred too much. And that's why wheat is so bad. Wheat flour is so bad now. It's not that gluten itself is so bad. You know, if you were to eat bread, for example, and you chose something like rye bread or spelt bread, they contain gluten, but you can digest those easier because your body knows what to do with them because they haven't been hybridized so much. It's still got its original frequency which fits in with nature, whereas wheat is just abnormal now. It's like it doesn't even come from Earth. It doesn't fit the frequency that was given to it originally. It's too complex for the body to break down that gluten. That's why people suffer celiac disease, for example. Anyway, I will make another video momentarily on different herbs that can be used during your cleansing period. Now, these can be eaten or they can be drank in a tea. It doesn't matter. But I'll make another video. So thank you for watching this one, YouTube. This was how to heal asthma, essentially, and how to do it through diet alone.